a machine. It's like Trump had decided not just to set the record straight, but to set a whole new benchmark altogether. Because if the old DQ speed triple left you wondering what the hype was all about, this one redefined the term hooligan that it invented. I mean, the numbers are staggering. 16 kgs lighter makes 52 extra horses and 20 more Newton meters from the new 1160 engine. So yeah, when Tron tells you this is the most responsive and fastest accelerating speed triple ever, they mean business. And you can ride that stonking mid-range with the front wheel pushed up in the air for miles on end. And I assure you, you would be smiling ear to ear the entire time, completely intoxicated with this amazing exhaust note from the stock Euro 5 can. Sounds sweeter than your favorite cheesecake on a cheat day. To harness all this firepower, this gets more tech than ever before. You're talking lean sensitive traction control, cornering ABS. You get 5 riding modes, including a rider mode which is completely customizable. And also you get this, a bi-directional quick shifter, which I feel is the best I've experienced on a Triumph motorcycle. But to be honest, the first thing that inspires you the most to go fast on a motorcycle is a good braking system. And on the RS, you get the best in business. Brembo Stylema calipers, twin 320mm disc, steel braided lines, and of course, the MCS master cylinder from Brembo to unlock braking performance like never before. And the bling doesn't end there, because you also get top shelf Öhlins equipment. You have mixed 30 forks at the front and the TTX 36 shock at the back, completely customizable. And which bring to the fore the weapon that the speed triple has become in the corners. I mean, it is a shame really that we have barely been able to scratch the surface of what the RS can do here in the corners, because the conditions have been so dreadful. We have had so much rain here that the freaking dams have filled out in the last few days that we have been shooting here. But on the flip side, the wet conditions also went on to highlight just how good the front end is. I mean, the chassis is supremely communicative, always keeping you on top of all the grip that is available from the sticky Metzeler Racetech RRs. And also, even though the wheelbase is now 10mm longer, to of course harness all the extra power that this one packs, the tighter geometry, the mass centralization, and of course the 13mm wider bars means that it takes half the amount of effort to lean the RS from one side onto the other compared to the old bike. And even though the cornering clearance has reduced from 165 to 151, they have moved the foot pegs inwards so that you still have enough cornering clearance to have fun, just as much fun here as you will on the racetrack. And I think that pretty much sums it all, because the Speed Triple has never been this focused. And this pursuit to become a super naked obviously means that it has had an impact on its road going credentials. So on the practical side, I love how compact it is. I mean, sure, we miss the signature under seat exhaust, right? And now you just have a single unit on the side. But look at that tail section. It is so slim, so compact, almost looks like the Street Triple RS. And surely feels like one when you're riding around in the city, because this no longer feels top heavy, is very easy to maneuver, and the leverage from the wide handlebar means that you can easily slice through traffic. Even the clutch, nice and light to operate compared to the really heavy one on the old Speed Triple. Also, in terms of ergonomics, I think this is among the best in business because it hits that sweet spot between sporty and upright. And even the suspension, even though it's full race spec, when you dial it in, it actually works quite well even on broken surfaces. But yeah, it is definitely a far cry from the mad plush ride quality which the old 1050 was renowned for. Also, when you look at highway runs, this has absolutely no wind protection. Unlike the old Speed Triple, which at least had that small cowl, even the tank is down from 17.5 to 15.5, restricting your range to about 210 to 220 kilometers. But I think the single most important point where this engine loses out to the old one is tractability, because the RS really hates going slow and it's always asking for higher revs. In fact, even in the rain mode, which is the softest map, it still starts juddering in the second gear at slow speeds, where the old Speed Triple would be cruising along in the third gear. And yeah, this one too also heats up a lot in stop-go traffic. And while I appreciate the creature comforts like the backlit switchgear, the keyless fob, and of course cruise control, I'm really not a big fan of this new dash, because it takes forever to load, takes forever to react to the changes you're making, and it kept throwing this TPMS error even though the system is not even installed on the bike. And more importantly, I think it's a little too minimalist, because you have to actually toggle through the menu to get vital information like your fuel range or the coolant temperature. Yeah, at 16.95 lakhs, the RS does command a lot of money for a naked, for the specialized tool that it has become. But then again, if you're in the market for super nakeds, this also starts looking like an absolute bargain if you consider its competitors like the BMW S1000R, the Kawasaki ZH2 or the Ducati Street Fighter, all the top spec versions which cost almost 5 lakh rupees more. And if you consider yourself a fan of the Speed Triple, then this, in my books at least, is undoubtedly the best hooligan that Triumph has ever made.